by Pope Leo XVI, acknowledging the Catholic Church's historical role in slavery. In his encyclical, the Pope described slavery as a wound in Christian memory and apologized on behalf of the Church for its complicity in the transatlantic slave trade and related systems of oppression. He also called for restorative justice for communities still affected by these past injustices.
Who is still affected, family? Come on. We're in court today. Who is still affected? I want specifics today.
Although he stopped short of explicitly endorsing reparations for slavery. In a statement issued on...
Oh, so he said sorry, but he don't want to endorse reparations. But this is where you can catch them out. But guess who's standing in the way? We're going to get into it.
Tuesday, May 26, the ministry described the Pope's action as an act of moral courage and an important contribution to the global pursuit of historical truth, human dignity, and justice.
Absolute pugwash. So listen to this. People say Afro descendants. They're diaspora. Yeah? All of these different terms. Those are the... So we're talking specifically. Do you think all Africans, all black people should get slavery? It's a question. Do you think all Africans should get slavery? Excuse me, reparations for slavery? Huh? Talk to me. Talk black to me, people. Right. I see no, not at all. Good. We've got some thinking people out here. So France also acknowledges the need for slavery reparations. Macron falls short of concrete commitments. Slave chain with 4 yokes from the Duke's Voodoo Convent in Indunuku, Benin, which is near Nigeria, dating from the 19th century at the Memorial, at the Memorial ACTE Caribbean Center. Listen, family, this was what happened to some of our ancestors. And we need to get deep today. If we're going to be successful with claims and reparations, we need to understand language. Family, you cannot go to the Supreme Court demanding reparations, which is not a payout, it's a debt, and say you are African. Uh-oh. You can't do that. And we're going to go into the reason why, because law language is very specific. If you go and say, I want reparations for Africans, and this is no disrespect to my brothers and sisters on the African continent. If you go there and say you want reparations for Africans, then you are then disqualifying yourself and your claim. I can't go to court for compensation with a different straw woman, a straw man, and a different name and claim on someone else's behalf unless I'm acting as their Mackenzie friend. That compensation is for that individual, for Sister Dion or Brother Andre, for example. So no one else should be able to claim reparations apart from those who are the direct descendants of the slave trade. Look at the word. Slave trade. We can read further into the article where Macron, all of them are going to say, yo, we need to pay up. But they are banking literally on us not getting structured and organized to receive compensation, because they are banking on us using vague language like African, no disrespect, to get reparations. Because to be African today is not necessarily race, family. Got to get specific. I'm not trying to offend anyone. To be African is a nationality, not necessarily a race. We have to be specific in court. Facts over feelings. So, in slavery, who was and who is the injured party? Question to the family. Who is the injured party? And we've already answered this question. The injured party, yes, you could say the diaspora, those who are Caribbean, those who are foundational Black Americans, or people call, say, African American, those who are in Brazil, those who are direct descendants of the enslaved who worked for free labor for over 300 years. Excuse me. So they are the injured party. We speak about this in common law. Only the injured party have a right of claim. So reparations can't be race-based. It's got to be lineage-based. Family, this is going to be picking up more and more in the UK. It's picking up already in the United States of America. It's going to be picking up here. It's going to have to be specific. Gone are the days where we're just all continental Africans. That's just not true. No disrespect to brothers and sisters in Africa, but we're not all continental Africans. For example, The injured party in South Africa, when it came to the apartheid, was the South Africans, not Nigerians, not Zimbabwean brothers and sisters, but specifically the South Africans. I can't make a claim for apartheid because I weren't there. My lineage is not from there. Does that make sense, family? So it's not hate. It's just we're dealing with facts. And other people are clinging on to our claims. And we have to be very careful. To the right, you see the Ashanti Kingdom. Why have I put that up there? Who knows who the Ashanti Kingdom is? Where are they from? Talk to me. Where are the Ashanti Kingdom from? Where are they based? Shout out to the Pan-Africanist family. We're going to get deep. They're from what is called today Ghana. Ghana. Let's go there tonight. Let's go there because a lot of us still don't get it when it comes to making delineations. No, the Ashanti, they are based in Ghana. When it comes to making claims, we have to be structured. So who's been to Amina Castle in Ghana? Who's been there? Put one in the chat for me. If it's lineage based, then they are not white people or Caucasians in our lineage. Yeah, but what are you predominantly? What are you predominantly? Are you more melanated or do you lack melanated? Because Caucasian means one who lacks melanin, and you're from a specific region known as Europe or the Caucasus Mountains. If you can't trace your lineage there, how can you be Caucasian? But I'm going to get into that because Caucasians also refer to themselves as African. So there you go. Yeah? But let's look at this. Okay, so Amina Castle, a place that if I ever go, I'll never pay any money.
Elmina Castle is one of the oldest and most historically significant European buildings in sub-Saharan Africa. Located in the town of Elmina on the southern coast of modern-day Ghana, this fortress played a central role in the transatlantic slave trade and serves today as a stark reminder of the dark chapter.
Right, family, quick history lesson. Do you know who built Amina Castle? Yeah? Do you know who built Amina Castle? Anyone in the chat? It was the Portuguese. We just read the Pape Bull, which was in the 14th century. Amina Castle was built in 1482 by the Portuguese under the direction of King John II, who was under the Pope. Like today, Charles III is under the Pope, Leo, today. Yeah? And it's overseen by Don Diego, right? To protect their gold trade. Listen, on the West African coast. It's the oldest European building in existence south of the Sahara. So this is a European building in West Africa, family, built by the Portuguese under the direction and tutelage of King John II. Google what I'm telling you. So that means you built this castle on West African territory, which means either you had help and cooperation or you just managed to invade that part and built brick and mortar to then capture slaves as prisoners of war without any interference. I need you to listen today. I need you to understand something today. All right, let's carry on. I'm just making a point.
Chapter in world history. The castle was originally built by the Portuguese in 1482. It was originally called São Jorge de Mina in Portuguese, a translation of St. George of the Mine. It was constructed under the command of Portuguese explorer Diogo de Azambuja on the orders of King John II of Portugal.
See, we do actual facts here, see? Verified. Check this out. So this is where they held our answers. All right.
Purpose was to establish a permanent base to control the lucrative gold.
Family, do you see these cannons here? Let me know if you can see the cannons. I'm going to show you something. Just keep that in mind. Which way are the cannons pointing? I'm proving a claim here. I'm going to carry on.
Gold trade along the West African coast. Elmina quickly became a major trading post for gold, ivory, spices, and other goods.
Family, notice some of you are saying kidnap. The word trade keeps coming up. Trade, trade, trade. Did you know what they called Ghana before it was called Ghana? Someone tell me in the chat. We have to have some history lesson here because we got a claim, a unique claim, and we have to learn law. But if we don't know how to apply it, then how can we get reparations? So what did they call Ghana before it was called Ghana, family? Thank you so much. On the Gold Coast. They were trading, listen, trading gold with the Portuguese and the British. Trading. This is where the term the Gold Coast came from. Unfortunately, the West African Kingdom at that time was complicit with slavery. Listen.
Especially as it was near the Ankabra and Tano rivers, rich in gold. Although gold was the initial commodity of interest, the focus shifted as Europeans' demand for enslaved labor grew, especially with the colonization of the Americas. By the 17th century, Elmina Castle had become a major hub in the transatlantic slave trade. Africans were captured inland and brought to Elmina, where they were imprisoned in...
Guess who captured them inland? Oh my God. We gotta tell the truth, family. Guess who captured other melanated people inland? It was the Ashanti, members of the Ashanti Kingdom. Yes, it was. Go on Google, I'm telling you. The Ashanti Kingdom captured other black people and put them in Elmina Castle. Guess who was the overseer of Elmina Castle? It was the Ashanti Kingdom, the Ashanti warriors. Guess what they traded when they gave gold to the British and the Portuguese? By the way, that's how the Bank of England was established. They got in return rifles. So in Africa, there was tribal wars, kingdom wars between the different rival kingdoms. And it was the kingdom with the rifles that supplied and overcame the other tribes and kingdoms of Africa because they had rifles. They stood guard here at Elmina Castle while women and men were raped and waited for the slave boats. This is a fact. I'm not saying all of our brothers and sisters over there. I'm saying specifically in what is known today as Ghana. But today they are asking for reparation. Oh, God.
In dungeons, sometimes for months, before being shipped to the Americas. The conditions in the dungeons were said to be horrible and horrific, dark, overcrowded, and unsanitary. In 1637, the Dutch West India Company captured Elmina Castle from the Portuguese after a fierce battle. However, the Dutch continued the slave trade, expanding the fort's operations,
So you have the
adding
Dutch,
new buildings and forts.
you have the Dutch, you have the Portuguese. I asked you a question earlier. Which way were the cannons facing? And I've asked that question for a reason. Which way were the cannons facing? Because there was a war between the Portuguese and the Dutch West Indian companies. We're going to the city of London now. Think about it. All right. Many companies today are established from the slave trade today. So when people say, oh, we don't owe money today. Yeah, well, there's many insurance and banking companies that are still around today as a result of slavery. That's a fact. That is a fact. All right. So there was war amongst the Europeans for Elmina Castle. But guess where the cannons were facing and why were they facing the way they were?
Fortifications. The castle served as the capital of the Dutch Gold Coast until the early 19th century.
Again, which way are the cannons facing? Because a lot of us still make excuses saying, oh, Africans were tricked and they didn't know any better. Really? Okay, so why are the cannons facing out that way? Because those on the actual mainland were not a threat. Nobody came to burn fire on this place to free up no prisoners of war. There were no threats on land. The threat was overseas. For example, as I just showed you, between the Portuguese and the Dutch, they were fighting off other slave boats, slave trading boats. The threat was not inland from other tribes and kingdoms because they were complicit to the slave trade. We've got to speak truth today. Yeah, we're going to go after the main demon, which is Britain, who owes us, but there's others who owe us as well. That's why, do Ghana really have a right to accept an apology when you were complicit? And by the way, this is still making money today, this place, Elmina Castle. I'll never give them a penny.
In 1872, the Dutch ceded Elmina Castle to the British, as part of a treaty that transferred control of all Dutch possessions on the
We got the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the British.
Gold Coast to Britain. The British officially abolished slave trade in their colonies in 1807, but the impact of slavery lingered, and the castle...
You know why? They always make this story, oh, we abolished slavery, we're the good guys, the British Navy. Do you know how the British Navy established their naval routes? They established it from slavery. Why did they abolish it? Because they were good? No, because there's so many different rumblings and revolutions on the plantations of the Caribbean that they couldn't afford to carry on with slavery. So as reported in the Guardian newspaper 2015, compensation had to be paid to who? Tell me in the chat. Compensation through the taxpayers' money was paid to who? You got it right. Yes, former slave holders, according to the Guardian 2015 newspaper. By the way, the Guardian newspaper also is a beneficiary from the slave trade. We broke this down. It's on our YouTube channel. So look, family, we have to be specific with our claim. We can't be ambiguous. We can't be miscellaneous. Up to 2015, that's right. Once they seized Ghana and got all the gold and got control, then they could say, right, we can abolish slavery. So the British Navy is the very basis, slavery is the basis of what we call commerce today. Commerce is as a result of slavery. Hence why churches, I didn't say Christianity, churches look like courthouses. Churches look like the barrels of boats. Boats look like churches and courthouses for a reason, the aesthetics. Stay with me at the Power of Consent. Please share this link. We're going deep tonight because we will get reparations, family.
Castle's legacy was deeply tied to that devastating historic period. Under the British rule, the castle served various administrative and military functions.
Common law,
In 1957, the Gold Coast became the independent nation of Ghana, the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence from colonial rule.
Rubbish.
Elmina Castle came under the jurisdiction of the new Ghanaian government, and was recognized as
which is conquered by the British, by the way. Conquered by the British.
a site of immense cultural and historical significance. Elmina Castle was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979, along with other forts and castles along Ghana's coast. The designation helped preserve the castle and recognize its global significance, especially in the context of slavery and colonialism. Elmina Castle is now a museum and historical site, attracting thousands of visitors from around the world, including members.
I kiss my teeth. Family, why would we pay monies to the UNESCO Trust, because that's what it is, towards what was built for our ancestors' damnation? I know there's trips that people are organizing to Ghana. Shout out to you. Ghana. Yeah, Ghana. Shout out to you. But let me tell you something. When I go, try no. Me, they're not getting a penny from me. Why would I pay money, a memorial site, to where people that look like me held my ancestors as prisoners? Then they got the cheek to go and demand reparations. You see the disrespect? What self-respecting Jew would go to the concentration camps, pay money to visit the site of where their ancestors died, and then that money goes off to some offshore charity, and then the Jewish people are not the beneficiaries of that? How are we the beneficiaries of Elmina Castle? Listen, if I had it my way, I'll drop that place down and remake it into a memorial site where it's free, where we can go and give our libations to our ancestors. This is immoral. Thus, it's unlawful. And thus, that means it's unlawful for other people to make a claim on our behalf. Ghana's government has announced GHS 22 million investment in 2025 to rehabilitate historical sites, including Elmina Castle. There's more than one castle, to boost tourism. So you're still making money from slavery. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Elmina Castle, built in 1482, is managed by who? By the Ghanaian Museum and Monuments Board. And I bet you we're not on that board. I told you it's a trust. We broke down what trusts are. And relies on tourism revenue. Oh my God. International partnerships and government funding for maintenance. So you want to maintain a hellhole, make money from the misery of our ancestors, and we get none. So they want to get 20, they put 22 million. I don't know if that's, I think that's dollars, to a prison site where our ancestors were captured. Family, how is that respectful to your ancestors, to your lineage? Yeah? And as I asked the question, why are the cannons pointing outwardly? I told you, because the threat from the Dutch, from the British, was outward, not inward. There was no other neighboring tribes or kingdoms coming to the rescue of our ancestors. That's just a fact. The threat wasn't inland. The European needed help to navigate themselves through the forest. Who's been to Africa? Man, when you're walking through a bush, you need navigation. How the hell did they navigate themselves inland into Africa without help? Think about this. You're not getting any of that money, so why are you spending money on Amina Castle? Why are you doing that? Tourism? How comes we haven't got no land and no offering of land to go back to Ghana? And don't tell me about, yes, they did it in 2019. That was a scam and a finesse. You go to Ghana with money, you'll be accepted. We should be able to go to Ghana and say, hey, here I am. I'm a descendant. Here's your land. Here's your repatriation. This is what Marcus Garvey was fighting for, to my knowledge. So how comes we're not getting that? We're getting lip service, family, from our own melanated people. And again, shout out to my brothers and sisters in Africa. This is not hate towards Africa, because when I went to Africa, brothers and sisters were telling me, specifically in Gambia, that, yeah, we sold our own people out. And this is why Africa's being punished today. That's what I'm told by my brothers and sisters over there, family over there, because we still have melanated family there. Unfortunately, we have had villains within. What have we been reading? So we're going to go there. Some of you are going to get offended now. The question is a question. The term African to describe all black people globally is a bad habit. I'll say, is it a bad habit? Typo there. Is it a bad habit? Because we're talking about successful habits. To describe everyone, Caribbeans, Aborigines, Black Philippines, Black China, should we call everyone African? And I would respectfully and humbly say, no. No. Why, however, consent, do you say we shouldn't call black people African? Well, there's a difference with ethnicity. Ethnicity is a culture, and talking about reparations there. Ethnicity is a cultural classification based on the language, traditions, cultural origins of a group of people. So we have similar cultures, yeah, in our ethnic groups, but we're not necessarily the same. Ethnicity versus race. Race is a biological classification based on a person's genetic makeup. Stay tuned in, people, because we got to understand if we're going to get reparations. Ethnicity is a cultural classification based on a family's cultural background, traditional language, and traditions. African American, well, that term doesn't really make any sense. You can't be two nationalities at the same time. Specific Islander, Afrikaners, Arab, Basque, and Assyrian. Different ethnic groups. We're not all the same. We are all melanated, but we're not all the same. Even on the continent of Africa, not all identify as one United States of Africa. It don't exist. They identify as Yoruba. They first go by Fulani. They go by Mandinka, Wolof, Jolo. They go by their tribes. Africa comes second. In fact, race comes third. A lot of our brothers and sisters over there don't even see race. Same thing in the Caribbean. I'm Jamaican. Being a Jamaican is a nationality. It's not your race. You got people in Dom Republic who say, I know black, I Hispanic. That's a nationality, fool. You understand what I'm saying? Your race is different from your nationality and your ethnicity. So we've got to get this clear when it comes to language. These two people, name who these two people are, please, in the chat. Name who are these two people? Yeah. That's Elon Musk. Yes, thank you very much. They're South African. But they're white, though. They're Caucasian. Someone said something about Caucasian earlier. They're two Caucasians who are African. Is that a lie? Or is it fact? To your right, you have the actress Charlize Theron, who is actually African-American. She was born in Africa. Doesn't matter where it is geographically, south, north, east, or west. And she emigrated to America. She has what is called dual citizenship, and we always encourage people to get dual citizenship. She is legally stated as a African American. She is. Elon Musk also could be classified as African American. Again, nationality is not necessarily race. This is why we can't classify everyone as African, because guess what will happen, family? If Do you know white people could say, yeah, I should get reparations too? Why? Because you said reparations for all Africans. You got white-skinned Arabs who are Africans. They're in Casablanca and Morocco and in Egypt. They're African. Oh, they're African. Yes, they are. So what stops them from saying, I want reparations? Because it says on their claim form, reparations for all Africans. Do you see why we can't be ambiguous with the language? You have to be specific, or otherwise people will leech on and parasite onto your claim. This is why we can't go with that homogenous term. We just can't do it, family. And it's no disrespect to the Black African brothers and sisters. It is what it is, what it is, what it is. Facts over feelings. So that answers that question. It's a bad term because it's too homogenous. It also contributes to a thing called cultural erasure. Though we are similar, though we like our food seasoned, though we dance to the drum, we still have our ethnic differences. You got some tribes in Africa that still believe in markings on their body. You got some tribes in Africa that still believe in eating certain forms of meat. It's called bush meat. You got certain tribes in Africa that still believe in janky things like FGM. You got certain tribes in Africa that believe in Islam, and then others who believe. You got different ethnic groups and tribes. That's just how it is. So to put us on a homogenous term is an injustice to all different groups. So while the term African was great in the 60s, 70s, and 80s to raise our level of consciousness, we need to upgrade our knowledge now when it comes to making claims. We can't use the term African to paint us with the same brush. We just can't do that. So speaking of Africans, this so-called sister here, look to your left, this individual, melanated individual, she says no more pandering. White girls are being left behind. White boys are being left behind. Most have no dual citizenship. Only here to call home. She's not speaking on the behalf of the descendants of the enslaved. Her name is Chancellor or Councillor Cecilia Hibbert. Cecilia Hibbert. And I bet you she's changed her name. You know why? Because she is a British Nigerian. Oh my God. Family, no disrespect to our brothers and sisters in Nigeria. We're not saying, but her lineage is not affiliated to those who are the descendants of the enslaved. So not all skin folk are kinfolk.
British Nigerian councillor Celia Hibbert, who has emerged as the leader of Reform UK on Wolverhampton City Council, officially becoming the leader of the opposition in the city. Announcing the development on social media, Hibbert expressed gratitude for the confidence placed in her leadership, promising to remain focused on the concerns and welfare of local residents. Her rise highlights the increasing political visibility and impact of Nigerians within the UK's local government system.
Impact of Nigerians. Not all black people. She's made a delineation. So she don't care about the people that built the foundation of the UK. Shout out to the Windrush brothers and sisters. She only cares about Nigeria. Nigeria is named after a white woman, a colonizer, by the way. Go and Google that. Yeah. So you got people who are from the continent who are here not speaking on you and our behalf. They're speaking specifically for a group or a certain class, and she's not even speaking for all Nigerians, by the way. See, we have to get rid of the sellouts. By how do we get rid of the sellouts? We have to correct the language. Because if you say you are just under one homogeneous title, you're aligning yourself to people like this. And then Reform will say, oh, well, look, we're not racist. We got black women with us. She's Nigerian. Did I not point out last Thursday that there was an inordinate amount of sisters, melanated women, at this march called Unite the Kingdom? And not all sisters, I'm not saying all sisters, very few. But a lot of sisters have always been used, some, not all, because most of our sisters are not like this individual here. But they're using our sisters to validate and bring about more white supremacy and to stop us from making our claims. On the slave plantation, the term bedwench and mammy is used to describe these type of people. Mammy and bedwench. Hence, when you watch Tom and Jerry cartoons, you have a mammy. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying that's how they see sisters who speak on behalf of the dominant society. Wolverhampton, top down place, man. I've got family up there. But listen, not everyone can speak for us, especially if they're not from the lineage of those who descended from the captured, the imprisoned, and the enslaved. Like this individual here, Kemi Bad Enoch, the people who have died. She's Nigerian. And remember, nationality is nationality, it's not race. The people who have died, who've been killed, were Jewish people in synagogues. Let's stop pretending something else happening. You can say all you like, but this is how the 1930s started. She's talking about the Second World War. With people pretending not to see what is happening in front of them. She's talking about anti-Semitism in the UK. I am not blind. I can see. I'm telling people the truth, and they will always know that I stand behind Jewish people. I stand for them. She ain't standing for us. I believe she'll be the next Prime Minister of England. She ain't standing for us. Yeah? She's standing for other people that don't look like her. Kemi. Yeah? She don't care about you and me with her gap tooth. And here's the thing. If she says she stands behind Jewish people, that means she stands behind them for them continuously getting reparations, right? They get billions from the American corporation funneled into Israel every year. Then why would you say, if you believe in justice for one group, why did you say this then, Kemi?
All right, my people. So let's start with what just happened, okay? Last week, Ghana took a historic resolution to the United Nations calling for slavery to be officially recognized as the gravest crime against humanity. The resolution passed. 123 countries voted in favor. But not everyone was on board. 3 countries voted against it: the US, Israel, and Argentina. And 52 countries abstained.
By the way,
they didn't vote at all.
Argentina is a hub for Nazis after the Second World War. A lot of them fled to Argentina. I've been to Argentina. It's a country filled with historic white supremacy. The amount of Afro-Argentinians that have been murdered over there through slavery, through disease and imprisonment, yeah, they totally genetically annihilated the black man over in Argentina. Hence why in Argentina, you got women with light complexion, white complexion, with body shapes like black women, because they have some of those genes. But Argentina is a hub for white supremacy.
Now, one of those countries was Britain. Now, instead of questioning why Britain abstained, she criticized them for not going even further. She argued that Britain should have voted against the resolution. Why? Because in her view, Britain ended slavery. Yes, according to her, Britain led the fight to abolish slavery and therefore should not be punished for something that it helped eradicate. Now, here's exactly what she posted on X, quote, "Russia, China, and Iran vote with others to demand trillions in reparations from UK taxpayers, and the Labour government abstain!" Exclamation point. Britain led the fight to end slavery. Why didn't...
Abstain means they didn't go nay or they were there against. Nay or for. That's what Now, she's about to talk about, sorry to stop, she's about to talk about Britain ending slavery. Listen to this gaslighting, but I'm going to break something down.
Starmer's representative vote against this. Ignorance or cowardice. We shouldn't be paying for a crime that we helped eradicate and still fight today.
Okay.
End quote.
This is how you debunk that stupid argument or talking point from those white supremacists, whether they're in black skin or white skin. If somebody commits the R word and ends with the letter E, they commit a bunch of sexual assaults all over the place like Jack the Ripper. And then all of a sudden, Jack the Ripper turns himself in and says, "I was wrong. I am now stopped." Now they make a statement, public statement saying, "I've stopped raping now." Should they be applauded because they stopped, because Jack the Ripper stopped murdering and unaliving people? Should you get a handshake now because you stopped robbing people's houses? You've made an admission. I've stopped it. Should you be seen as the good person, the good individual? So when Kemi Banner add Enoch, gap to Enoch, Bushmeat eating Enoch says, well, the Navy stopped slavery, they shouldn't be given a medal for that. If you stopped it, then you should repair the damage. But guess what, Kemi? You're a hypocrite because you said you stand behind the Jewish people who get reparations every year, funding every year, have a Jewish Defense League, have an ADL, have people looking out for them, boards and trusts, but you're not standing behind the melanated community in their plea for reparations. Furthermore, you're not qualified, Kemi, to even speak on reparations, nor are those people of the Ghanaian government. You're not qualified.
Can't make this up, my people. Now you have to understand that this type of rhetoric is not new for Kemi, right? This is part of a larger narrative that she's been pushing for some time now.
This is the past. We need to talk about the future. There are many countries now who want to use guilt to try and exploit the UK. They ask for reparations. I saw it as a trade minister. It's not culture wars. I was at the WTO. I won't name the minister from another country. And he was telling me that we needed to give up some of the things that we were doing because of colonialism and because they needed time to develop. These arguments are a scam. Don't fall for it. We need to make sure that we put this country first. We work well with our neighbors. We work well with other countries, but we have to look after ourselves too.
Now you know how slavery started in the first place, because you had people who are chiefs, leaders of tribes and kingdoms, who were doing a handshake deal. She got a round of applause from the white supremacists in the audience. If you really want to know if somebody who's Caucasian is not racist, ask them the question: should black people get reparations? Descendants of the enslaved, not all black people, should they get reparations? And of course, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get no. It's a debt. It's not a handout, by the way, family. It's an outstanding debt, which means you and I should not have to pay no tax, no council tax, no inheritance tax, no high bills. We have a unique claim. Your claim and our claim is not the same as the other people who are on other groups that discuss claims on common law, on Telegram and YouTube and whatever. No disrespect to them. Our claim is unique. And I'll dare to stay more in need than anyone else. That's why only at the power of consent, you're going to get advocacy about what we specifically need. Not only those of us who are descendants of the slave trade, but for all of those melanated people, yes, advocacy, and all people of all walks of life should get advocacy, but we must start at home. Charity starts at home. When it comes to reparations, sorry, none of our African brothers and sisters get reparations for slavery. Maybe colonization, but not slavery. And nobody's going to try and crowbar their way into the claim of slavery like what was done with the Windrush scandal. That's why it's a scandal, because other people, everyone and their cat and dog was getting a claim for Windrush, not your folks who are descendants. So again, I'm going to ask a question now. Since we're not all Africans, because we're not born there, not all of us speak the language, not all of us are part of the tribe, that's just a fact. For those of you, what is a fitting name to describe Black United Kingdom descendants of the Caribbean? Yeah, she's a black-faced Karen, that's what she is. Yeah, we need to get a teacup and start spinning it around just like the movie Get Out. But I think she's beyond that. What is a fitting name to describe Black United Kingdom, descendants of the Caribbean? Tonight's book club is about your story. We have to create a term, a title to delineate for our unique claim. I'm going to say that again. We have to create a term, a title to describe our unique descendancy and claim, lest somebody crowbars into it, cosplaying a descendant, and take some of that reparations. You and I are of the descendants that was said in the book of Genesis, chapter 15:14. Yeah, that we will come up with great substance. We should not be afraid to delineate and announce who we are. Every other ethnic group does it. Every other foundational Black Americans are doing it. Brothers and sisters in the continent of Africa, they do it by way of tribes. You can see the nonsense going on in South Africa. They delineate, and it's not right what they're doing because they're using violence, but there's a natural delineation taking place in Africa. That one's Hausa, that one's Zulu, that one's Yoruba. Yeah, they make distinctions. So we, as descendants of those who were kidnapped and made prisoners of war, what is a fitting name to describe us and our lineage? I would like to leave that to the room, because this is something we have to discuss, because we're not here to talk. We're going to make some serious claims, because we are in need of claims for our children. And this is why we teach over here about trusts. You want to have a trust set up when you get your reparations. Yeah, you got to believe you're going to get your reparations. You got to believe it, like Anthony Hopkins said. Yeah, we are a rich family. We keep saying it. We are wealthy. So anyway, fam, let's carry on.
The Hidden Science of Reggae.
So we're talking about delineation. So let's just listen to this.
26. How has reggae music influenced Black British culture? Is this influence currently under threat of being erased? And what is the real agenda behind the Windrush scandal? All will be revealed at the most mind-blowing, historically informative, culturally relevant event of the last decade. The Hidden Science Academy, in collaboration with Hidden Truth and New Initiatives Catering, presents The Hidden Science of Reggae. Saturday, 20th June 2026 from 12 to 8 p.m. at the Radisson Red Hotel, Heathrow. This unforgettable event will be hosted by Leo Muhammad from the groundbreaking 90s sketch show, The Real McCoy. Join us as we embark on a captivating journey through the rhythm that reshaped a nation, sparked a spiritual revolution, and created a culture of resistance. This event will be mind-blowing. Speakers dropping knowledge on the day include Robin Walker, the Black History Man, Andrew Muhammad, the Investigator, Charmaine Simpson from Black History Studies, plus much more. There will be reggae performances by Alex Watson, Faye Simon, and a very special guest. DJs for this unforgettable event will be the dynamic duo Ace of Jacks, and at the official after party, you will be entertained by one of the most iconic British sound systems of all time, Saxon Sound. But wait, there's more! At this event, there will be an exclusive comedy set by one of the pioneering Black British comedians of our generation, the legendary sweet boy of comedy himself, Richard Blackwood. This event is not to be missed. Get your tickets now by visiting theinvestigator.org.uk/reggae, or extend this experience by booking a room at our Reggae Weekender, theinvestigator.org.uk/reggae weekender. If there was ever a time for a cultural renaissance, it is now. Get your tickets today and join the reggae revolution.
Do you know what it means to have a revolution? Shout out to Leon Marshall, Brother Andrew, the Investigator, and Sister Lady Ma'a. Shout out to all the organizers of this. Get your tickets. Get your tickets for it. It's going to be fire. And listen, it's a brilliant segue because reggae is specific. It came from Jamaica specifically, or ex-Jamaica. It's very specific. It didn't come from anywhere else. It was born out of the struggle of those people from that island. Now, I've seen some words and terms. What can we use to describe our lineage? What can we use to describe? This is very important to making claims. I've seen descendant of the Caribbean. Here's the problem with that. Caribbean is ambiguous. It's not specific because do you know white people can be descendants of the Caribbean? There's white people who are Jamaican. Remember, we've got to know the difference between ethnicity and nationality and race. So again, descendant of the Caribbean is not quite it because people can crowbar their way into our claims. Because they'll say, I'm Caribbean, and they're all as white as snow. Yeah? Holocaust, okay. Indigenous is good because indigenous, well, we need to be more specific because indigenous also includes the Red Indians. Now, this is what we need to discover. In the Caribbean, when Columbus went there, he didn't see no Red Indians. Well, he didn't just see Red Indians. He saw Black indigenous people there. I want us to get out of this thing, this Hollywood propaganda, brainwashing thing where all Indians are red-skinned. That's a lie. The name India actually comes from or is synonymous with the word indigo. What color is indigo? Blue, black, purple, black. Indigo, India, indigenous, same words. So indigenous is good. The original man and woman, that's good. So what can we use to describe us? Because they say Black British. Again, we can't use that because black means inclusive of all black people. But when it comes to making claims, we're going to be specific. Indigos of God. I want us to start thinking about this because we're reading a chapter tonight called Your Story. This is your story. And it's not to exclude any other brothers and sisters or anyone else. This is a teaching moment for all groups. Nigeria, you need to go and get claims, Nigerian brothers and sisters, against the Shell petrol crisis and the Biafra wars. Brothers and sisters in South Africa, you need to go and get claims against the apartheid regime. Rwanda, Zimbabwe, a Jamaican can't get a Nigerian claim. Do you understand? We need to have structure in the black community, man. We can't be all over the place and miscellaneous. So delineation is not division. Delineation is structure. Don't get offended, family. But if you're offended, then I can't help that.
The
So yeah, go and get your tickets for the science.
And now, our feature presentation.
Gentlemen, this is Book Club, The Power of Consent. Tonight, we're going to carry on. This all ties in, family, with delineation, with knowing who we are. And it all goes back to this word, know thyself. Not originally by Socrates, but know thyself. We're going there tonight. I just want to say fair use, journalistic purposes. We're playing anything from Warner Brothers or anything from the news. Fair use for journalistic and educational purposes only. Let's crack on. So now, here we are. Check this.
I know you're Neo.
Uploaded. Power of Consent. We will have a video breakdown uploaded of the Matrix, what it means.